Welcome into another episode of Pace and Space. I'm Sam Oshtry alongside Sean Barnard. It's October 30th. We're over a week into the NBA season. We're coming at you live every Tuesday and Thursday, as we are right now on this Thursday. If you want to get in touch with the show, leave a voicemail at 856-295-1602, or you can email us. Send us an email. Mailbag questions will be hitting throughout the entire NBA season at paceandspaceshow@gmail.com. So get involved with the conversation. Sean, it's October 30th. Halloween's tomorrow. You a big Halloween guy?
Not a huge Halloween guy, I will say. I gave some thought to taking, got the fiance up over, gave some thought to doing an Eastern State Penitentiary trip today, but the weather not really fully feeling it. But we're gonna do a little, pumpkin drink, a little apple cider, and some action tonight. So
You're gonna dress up? Eastern State Penitentiary. That's right by me in Fairmount.
Yeah. We drove by the other day. We were looking at it, but probably not making the trip. A little bit weather crappy and not really feeling like going out. So to answer your question, not a big Halloween guy overall. It's just kind of not my top tier of holidays whatsoever.
Yeah, Halloween's probably the most overrated holiday. That and New Year's, unless you're a kid or you're in college where it's really fun. There's no reason to be celebrating Halloween like post-college. I hate how people get dressed up. They get so hyped about it, and it just never lives up to it. It's that and New Year's Eve are the most overrated holidays. You should not be celebrating Halloween. And I say that like of course I still celebrate it, but not like
I tried to pitch.
Not like I'm going trick-or-treating, but celebrating in a different way.
Yeah, I tried to pitch for the costume action for me to be Bill Belichick and for her to be Jordan Hudson this year. But I was gonna have a little Pablo Torre popping up for the shoulder, but did not pass the.
That's probably gonna be the most.
It's a good one.
Used costume this year. I feel like that for couples costumes at least.
Taylor Swift and Kelsey. That's gonna dominate.
Yeah, but that's a little old now. Like there's a couple of years of that. You can't still be running that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm never been a costume guy. Like I just go as simple as possible. Probably just be like a golfer or something. Throw on a polo. You should what are we doing with Halloween post college? It was really fun in college, and as a kid, you're going trick or treating. It's so overrated. That and New Year's holidays we just don't need. But let's talk some hoops. Unless you have anything else on that.
No, we got some spooky stuff to get into on the court, though, Sam Oshtry.
So we're going to talk just a little show outline today. We're going to do a rookie redraft for the 2025 draft, which we realize how ridiculous that is. There's 3 or 4 games into all these guys' careers. But this rookie class has been one of the storylines of the season, how dominant it's been, how many impactful rookies there are, where we could be looking at one of the deepest and best rookie classes in decades, maybe, when it's all said and done, based on how talented these guys are. And going into the draft, it was like, all right, this is going to be an all-time draft at the top. But I don't think we realized how deep it is when you talk about guys like Cedric Coward, Colin Murray Boyles, Ryan Kalkbrenner, all guys we're going to get to and talk about. So this has been an exceptionally deep and impressive rookie class. So we're going to do a little rookie redraft, which is ridiculous. It's like a Bill Simmons-Russillo thing. And I actually saw Russillo took a little like snarky remark. I don't know if it was towards Simmons or not the other day on his pod. He was like, and coming up, we're going to do a 2026 redraftables. And it was like, everyone thought it was a shot at Simmons because they just broke up. But I don't know if it was. So, and I was listening to that knowing we had this coming up. I was like, damn, he's coming at us a little bit. But it's still worth doing it because this rookie class has been one of the big storylines.
Yeah, we did have a chance to meet Russillo briefly during his show in Philly there. So shout out to him. But yeah, it is obviously incredibly early to be doing this draft here. But I think this rookie class is deserving of it. And I would even go as far as to say, I remember talking points about this being a weak class building up to it. And that is not looking to be the case whatsoever. Impact guys from day one across the board, even second rounders that have made their impact felt already this season. So excited to dive into it and really highlight the spotlight for some of these guys who have not gotten the shine yet.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to do a rookie redraft, talk about the rookies for a while. Then we're going to talk about the undefeated teams. 3 teams are 4-0, the Bulls, Sixers, Spurs, and the Thunder are 5-0. We're going to talk about the best team among that group and who we're most confident moving forward. And then we're going to go to the defeated teams who are all 0-4, the Pacers, Nets, and Pelicans. 3 teams that 2 that had higher expectations than what they've shown so far, and see which of the worst are of those group. And then we're going to hit on some bullet points from last night. It was a huge night of the NBA. Austin Reeves, we're going to talk about him and his buzzer beater last night.
Your guy.
Anthony Davis's injury, and we're going to get to the Blazers and how the Blazers have been playing. Winners of 3 out of the last 4. And amid all the gambling scandal stuff, they're playing good ball and locking up defensively. So that's how the show's going to go today. But let's start with the rookie draft. And we're just going to go back and forth and touch a lot on these guys of who, if situation aside, that you're joining, teammates aside, if you were to draft these guys right now, who would you take number 1 overall?
Yeah, and to kick things off, I'm still sticking with Cooper Flagg. That I understand it's been sort of an ugly start to his professional career here. I think stuff that is not his fault. Like my takeaway through these first couple games is I feel more confident in Cooper Flagg and less confident in the Dallas Mavericks. That I think it's kind of criminal the way that their plan is to develop this dude, to force him into being a point guard, which just has never been his role throughout the duration of his basketball career. So I certainly have critiques about how the Mavericks are going about him, but still feel very confident in Cooper Flagg as a talent. Through his first 5 games, has played 161 minutes, which is tied with VJ Edgecombe, although he's done it in one fewer game, for the most among any rookie this year. His overall stats, 32.2 minutes per game, 13.4 points, 6.2 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 0.1 win share already on the table here. He's got the competitive spirit. He's got the nature. He is a guy that I think fits modern basketball. You can scale him up or down positionally. I definitely don't think point guard is going to be where he ultimately settles as a player. But I think the early Cooper Flagg returns are exactly what you expected him to be.
I'm shocked you took Cooper Flagg. I literally gave you the first pick because I wanted you to have the honors and have the opportunity to take VJ.
Yeah,
and I thought it was gonna be a ridiculous pick, obviously, and I was gonna take Cooper Flagg second. But I'm pretty surprised you went with Cooper Flagg over VJ.
Yeah, I was close, man. I mean, VJ has made his push here, and I could not be happier. You can't ask for anything more from what you've seen from VJ Edgecombe. But I think like I am a guy who, when I'm building out a basketball team or evaluating what I value here, it is really the skill set that Flagg possesses. A guy who can put the ball on the floor, be a high-level rim protector, can slide his feet on the perimeter. He checks some boxes that even the peak version of VJ Edgecombe, I think, can't quite get there. Now, granted, Cooper Flagg could underperform and not quite reach his potential, and then we're having this conversation. But for the time being, I'm completely comfortable leaving Cooper Flagg at 1-1.
Yeah, I'm with Cooper Flagg too. I just was shocked that you went the other way just because of the VJ hype. But I think it's Cooper Flagg too, and it is Cooper Flagg. It's not even a question right now. You're 100% right about the situation the Mavs have put him in, and this was my worry about the Mavs coming into the year, where they don't have a point guard, they don't have a primary ball handler. Like Jason Kidd doesn't even trust D'Angelo Russell right now. Like Max Christie's getting some reps, but there's no one that they can actually have out there as a point guard. They're just hoping Kyrie Irving comes back at some point. But it's a disservice to Cooper Flagg to give him that many reps as the point guard and as the one, because that's not his role. He's not he can be really efficient in the pick and roll, and he's a good decision maker, good passer. Like he has all the tools, but he's better as a wing guy. When guys are setting stuff for him, he's coming off actions. You're running stuff for him. That's when he's excellent. He's excellent in isolation situations. Most isolation situations don't come from being the ball handler and organizing the offense. So the Mavs have done a complete disservice to Cooper Flagg and to his development. But there's nothing to be worried about because of that start. I mean, shooting 26% from 3 and 41% from the field. Obviously, pretty bad numbers. That's more on the Mavs than it is him. It's been 4 games or 5 games now. We're not going to overreact to this start from him. And it's not like it's been all bad. It hasn't. But it's ugly because of the situation the Mavs have put him in, playing him at the 1. So I'm not worried about Cooper Flagg. He's still the number 1 pick and the number 1 guy. We also don't talk about enough what he does defensively. He's been immediately great defensively, coming over help as a rim protector. He's not the level that like a Wemby or an Evan Mobley's at, but he is great rotating over and blocking shots at the rim, or at least contesting shots at the rim. He can switch 1 through 5. He's constantly getting in passing lanes. He is such a great defender. We don't even talk about it as much. So the two-way aspect of him, there's nothing to be concerned about. He's going to be an all-star, a perennial all-star, and a franchise guy the Mavs can build around. But until they get Nico Harrison out of the building, and until they kind of get a point guard and build a roster around Cooper Flagg, things are going to be ugly in Dallas.
And to be honest, I agree with what you're saying. Like, there's clearly not a trust in Jason Kidd and D'Angelo Russell, but I just reject that being acceptable, man. D'Angelo Russell is a frustrating basketball player at times. He certainly has his flaws, but dude, he's fine. He's good enough to just fill what you need right now. And also, if you knew this was going to be the case, D'Angelo Russell hasn't changed his game versus who he's been for the entirety of his career. Get other guys in here. Nembhard, I really like. Give him a chance to run the offense a little bit. It's not acceptable for me for this to be the default button that he does pitch. I totally agree with Cousin Nicky here, saying D'Lo gets way too much hate. Not an all-star anymore, but still a solid point guard and a good player. he is good enough to do what they need him to do. And I think you just got to roll with those punches. I understand it's frustrating, but I think that this is all around bad on the Mavericks.
I'm not a D'Lo guy, but I do understand that he can be a serviceable player.
Right.
If he's your starting point guard, that's a problem. But the Mavs don't have any other options. So it's like, where are you going to go at this point?
And it's a placeholder. This isn't like building with D'Lo. It's a placeholder.
100%. And look, he had like good years with the Nets that one year where the Nets were a fun team making a playoff run. He's capable of putting stretches together, but he's not an efficient player. He doesn't defend very well.
Yeah.
He makes some boneheaded decisions. Even in the Mavs game the other night, he was taking just awful threes down the stretch. He's not a guy that you want on the court for long stretches. So I understand from Jason Kidd's perspective where he's frustrated with him. He doesn't want this guy who doesn't contribute to winning basketball on the floor, but you don't have any other options. And like you're like at this point, Cooper Flagg's development should be your number one priority. Like you're not winning anything this year. This roster is not constructed to win right now, especially before Kyrie Irving comes back. And now Anthony Davis went down with an injury. So right now, your number one priority should be developing Cooper Flagg.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with our guy, Rocky the Birds fan, that D'Lo, underrated passer, just shoots you in and out of games a lot. He's definitely
a perfect way to put it. Yep.
Yeah, he's definitely a frustrating basketball player, but I just still think that's the right button to push if you're the Mavericks right now. But nonetheless, Cooper Flagg locked in for the 1 pick in the Pick Swap Media Pace and Space redraft here. Sam Oshtry, where are you going for number 2?
All right, I'm going to VJ Edgecombe, and I thought hard about between VJ and Dylan Harper. I think it's a complete coin flip. I think both these guys are going to be really good NBA players for a really long time. But what we've seen from VJ Edgecombe surpassed any expectation anyone could have possibly had for him. The shooting, the finishing at the rim. He's shooting 64% from three, which obviously is not going to stand. Or excuse me, he's shooting 42% from three, which is a really good number. But that's on 7 attempts a game.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the three-point production is going to necessarily last, but the fact that he's taking them with that confidence and off the dribble too that we're seeing, him paired alongside Maxey. Maxey's the perfect complementary point guard for him. He's so explosive and unstoppable in transition. We've talked about VJ Edgecombe on every single show because there's what more can we say about the guy? He's surpassed everyone's expectation. He's so athletic. He's so gifted defensively. He's constantly in the right spot. Has great feel for the game. He is going, like, I have no doubt he's going to be an all-star a bunch of times in this league and a really good player on winning basketball teams for a long time. I think the same with Dylan Harper, but right now I'm going VJ Edgecombe over Dylan Harper, number 2.
I agree with you, and I think that there's a clear compliment with Tyrese Maxey, which is such an incredible sign from the Sixers directly there. The athleticism, like, cannot be overstated for just what a pop-off-the-page athlete this dude is, whether it is blocking shots, taking off in transition, catching lobs. There's more to be unpacked now, and VJ is starting to feel himself a little bit, man, in a way that I think is awesome. You can see the confidence growing. Like, he was on ESPN last night doing an interview with Tyrese Maxey, and they're asking him about everything, and he does this thing where he, like, slips in his like cocky take and then backs with like a "if you ask me" here. And he did it last night talking about winning the championship, saying now that the big fella's back, I think we're going to win the championship this year if you ask me. And I love the confidence from VJ. I do think that the more reps that he gets, they're giving him every bit of opportunity, that he's top 3 in the league in minutes per game right there. We can scale that back a little bit, but he's proving everything that you could possibly hope for. This dude's going to be a star.
Do you know who the top 4 minutes leaders are in the NBA right now?
I believe I looked at this yesterday. It's Maxey, Edgecombe, Alperen Şengün, and Kevin Durant, correct?
Before yesterday's games, Kelly Oubre was there too. Okay. Kelly Oubre was number 4. So the Sixers have 3 of the top 4 guys in minutes per game right now, which isn't really sustainable. I mean, Maxey and VJ are both really young.
And they did play an overtime game, which adds a little bit there.
That's 100% true. Just the point is that it's not really sustainable for this type of the play that they're getting, but also Jerry McCain's coming back, right? Yeah. So then you're gonna have to play him a lot. Paul George is coming back. Where is he gonna fit into the rotation and into the starting lineup, which will probably play that 4 spot alongside Embiid when they're fully healthy? Well, we'll see what that looks like, assuming Quentin Grimes stays in the starting lineup. We've talked about that before, but again, this team right now. It's the perfect team for VJ Edgecombe because of how fast they're playing. They're number 1 offense in the NBA. They're top 10 in pace in the NBA. This team plays so fast, and they're building around. Nick Nurse has done a great job building around their 2 point guards, which are the most explosive athletic backcourt in the NBA. Not the best, but the most explosive athletic backcourt in the NBA. So it's the perfect offensive system for what VJ Edgecombe needed right now, and he's excelling because everything that Tyrese Maxey is doing, getting downhill, is creating advantages for VJ Edgecombe. And he's so good at attacking closeouts. He's so good when the advantage is already created for him, whether it's making the right read on 3 and 4 or 4 versus 3 situations or getting downhill. So he's in the perfect situation for him and his development. So that's why he's number 2 right now.
Yeah, absolutely there. And I do think VJ, like his skill set applies to this question, but I like this question here from our guy B, Ryan Coyle, that says, it seems like individual scoring performances are way higher than usual this year. Why is that? We talked a little bit about this on the previous episode where you can see the influence of the Pacers and sort of the way teams are trying to play more up tempo. And that's being sort of counter to the other side for higher pickup points and all that. But the pace of basketball feels like it is just exploding at a rapid rate, that they're prioritizing, get more possessions, get more opportunities. Let's run and gun. Let's attack before the defense is set. So I think that's certainly a huge part of it. And I just think like the skill set of the entire league is at an all-time high, man. You watch these bad teams, you watch the Pelicans, who are among the worst in the league for now, the Wizards, who are not expected to make any noise, the Hornets, and each of these teams, I'm like, I don't know, I kind of like some of these guys. Like there's something to the way that these are playing. So I do think talent is at an all-time high. I think pace is a huge part of that. But would you agree with that or anything to add there, Sam?
It's pretty simple. When you play at such a high pace, you're going to have more possessions. More possessions is more scoring opportunities. That's why teams are scoring at a higher rate, and thus teams are scoring at a higher rate. That's why players are scoring at a higher rate. So it's pretty simple. And the other point that you said too was how skilled players are right now in today's game is as high as the skills ever been in the NBA. I mean, you have guys who are like on the end of benches who maybe 20 years ago would have been borderline all-stars. That is how skilled everyone in this league is right now. And when you have that combined with the pace of play, and it really bothers me when people, casuals who don't actually watch the NBA, say teams don't play defense. Like, that's not true at all.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, look at these scoring totals. The score's like 130 to 121. That's ridiculous. Nobody's playing defense. That's not true. Teams are playing defense. They're getting more creative defensively. There's been more zone the last couple of years than there ever was in NBA history. There's higher pickup points, more pressing. Teams are getting creative defensively to try to counteract the pace and the skill level of the NBA. It's not that teams aren't playing defense. It's that offenses and offensive players are so skilled.
Yeah, and that's something like VJ is a guy that I've been very keyed in on how he looks defensively, like watching him on an individual standpoint for possession. And there are sometimes stretches where there's just nothing you can do. Like there was a play where he was matched up with Franz Wagner the other night in the Magic game that I was like dialed in watching every little movement. And I walk away being like, that was a terrific defensive rep. And it ends with Franz Wagner just getting a bucket because there's nothing that you can do there. But that's sort of the story around the league, is that there is a level of offensive talent that we've never really seen before. And sometimes there is no counter to just shut that down. So
the other thing is, and this is a problem, the free throw rate is way too high right now. That's leading to higher scoring performances. I mean, Austin Reeves, not Austin Rivers. He's an analyst these days. Austin Reeves is leading the NBA in free throws attempted per game. That's a little ridiculous. He's really efficient to pick and roll. We're going to talk about Austin Reeves later. He's awesome. But these guys are getting to the free throw line at paces that like only bigs used to get, like Shaq back in his day. Giannis is a guy who should be attempting 10 plus free throws per game because he's constantly getting downhill and such a big body and hard to guard. Austin Reeves and guys like that shouldn't be in double-digit free throw numbers. So I think that's partly on the defense, partly of how the game is being officiated right now. Again, players are they're not just more skilled, they're so smart, where people call it foul baiting, grifting, whatever. I think it's just being smart, right? Like if you can have an opportunity to gain advantage on your defender and use the refs to your advantage, why not do it? So I think it's just being smart when teams are foul baited or players are foul baiting, like you see Shea and Brunson, those guys are two of the best at it, and it's smart. You're using the game to your advantage and the rules within the game to your advantage. But all that to say, free throws are getting a little ridiculous of how much free throws and how many free throws are being attempted by players and by teams. So I don't know if that's an officiating thing, a defense thing, playing without fouling, whatever it is. Those numbers have to come down. And that's also contributing to higher scoring outputs that we've seen to start the year.
Yeah, it depends whether you like or dislike the guy, whether it's a smart thing or an obnoxious thing. I find it quite endearing and think it's very, very intelligent when Joel Embiid gets to the free throw line at a high rate. When Jalen Brunson is launching himself into people, I find it quite obnoxious there. But we'll table that for now. My last point.
Well, that's the thing. Like Kobe used to read the ref's handbook when he was playing. He knew the ref's handbook. He knew that where they were supposed to be on the floor, when they were at particular spots on the floor, what they were looking at. And he would use that to advantage to try to draw fouls, also defensively to see what he could get away with on defense. That's being a winning basketball player. That's just being a winning guy, going to those lengths to try to gain an advantage on the opponent. That's just smart. I hate when people complain about how much Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Brunson foul grift in those guys' terms. It's being smart. It's gaining advantages. Getting to the free throw line is part of the game. It's part of the equation when you're looking at effective field goal percentage. How much are you getting to the free throw line? Free throw rate is one of the 4 factors in the NBA that front offices look at to gain advantages and coaching staffs look at. Free throws are important. Getting there is just as important. It's not grifting. It's being a smart basketball player.
Yeah, 100% there. And the last point that I wanted to tie up the VJ Edgecombe conversation, you mentioned Austin Rivers, who actually had like a pretty cool story about VJ Edgecombe. That VJ played for his AAU team, that Rivers coached him for a brief stretch of time. And he talked about like his words about VJ is he's just like a psychopath, overconfident guy. And he told a story that when VJ was 13 years old, at this point, Austin Rivers, an active NBA player, of VJ walking up and challenging him to a one-on-one. And Austin Rivers is like, dude, I'm going to smoke you. You're 13 years old. And VJ's like, no, like I'm going to beat you right now. They go and play. Austin Rivers ends up winning. And VJ is like chucking the ball across the gym, like mad that he lost. And Austin Rivers is like, what did you expect, man? Like, I'm in the NBA. You're 13 years old. Like, this isn't something that should not be happening. But that, like, I think that does speak to the way this guy's wired, the way that he ticks, and why I'm so optimistic for why this is just the start of an illustrious career for VJ Edgecombe.
And Tyrese Maxey told a similar story yesterday on Inside the NBA on ESPN, where he said he texted the guys. He's like, I'm working out at 6. Whoever wants to show up can show up. And Trent Watford showed up and VJ Edgecombe showed up. And, I guess this is some hating, but my first thought went to was, of course, Joel Embiid didn't show up. We know he wasn't getting up.
Probably recovered from knee surgery, man. Give him a break.
Depends when it was. We don't know the full context. We don't know when it was.
Yeah.
He probably wasn't showing up then anyway. But the point is that like he's a guy, like he's as hard worker as it gets in the league, and that's part of why he's been able to develop even a jump shot where he couldn't shoot the ball at all really at Baylor. That was a big worry of his coming into the NBA, and he's been a great 3-point shooter this season. That's 6 months of working on your jump shot, working on off the dribble threes, all that stuff. So credit to him. I don't know if we're ever gonna have a podcast where we don't do at least 10 minutes on VJ Edgecombe, because we've done it literally every single show so
hard
far.
Not to.
But let's move on. Your number 3 pick.
My number 3 pick is Dylan Harper, the man who went 2nd overall here. Could not be more impressed what we've seen, and I see you pulling up some clips here. The thing that I think is important to note is just the pace that he plays with and the way that he gets downhill. There is a poise that Dylan Harper possesses that you just do not see in rookies. A little bit similar to VJ, but I think it's even a bit more impressive with Harper because of what an active ball handler he is. And I just see the clear vision of this guy being a floor general for the next decade in the NBA. His start-stop's really impressive. He gets to the rim and attacks the paint at a rate that I can't remember a guard coming to the league and being this successful at this. He snakes a pick and roll as well as I've seen any rookie coming out of the draft that I can remember here. He's going to have to still improve as a shooter and take some steps in the right direction. The Spurs are going to sort through what the overall vision with Castle and with De'Aaron Fox coming back. But I mean, look at that Euro step there. That is not rookie stuff that you do see from Dylan Harper. So I could have made the case that he should go 2 here. I think him and VJ are like a neck and neck sort of race here. I love what I've seen from Dylan Harper and feel pretty strongly that this is just the start of a pretty impressive long-term career.
Yeah, Dylan Harper is my number 3 too, and it's for everything that you said, that he's already so efficient in the pick and roll, and that's something we saw at Rutgers, but I don't know if we thought it would be as developed as it is in the NBA. And he's playing with a guy like Wemby who demands so much offensive attention. His gravity is unbelievable. And he's also paired with another guard in Stephon Castle. And again, De'Aaron Fox hasn't even played for this team. I hope it doesn't hinder Dylan Harper's development and doesn't take away from his on-ball reps, because Harper's on-ball reps have been really good, especially as a pick-and-roll ball handler. So I'm a little worried about that. Not super worried, but a little worried. But he's been awesome. I'm a huge Dylan Harper fan. Defensively, he's pretty good. I think this guy's going to be an all-star for years to come.
Yeah, and just to spit out a couple of raw stats for him, he's playing 26 minutes per game so far this season. Across that stretch, he's averaging 14.8 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 4.8 assists. Already 0.201 win shares per 48 minutes there. Pretty nuts stuff from his start to the rookie. And I agree, it's going to be interesting to see how this guard rotation works, but I still see a world where all 3 of those guys can share the floor when you got a 7'7" alien behind them. So this Spurs team, I've said it quite a few times, they're can't miss television for me. They're my number one league pass team that I can't get enough every time they're on. And I've seen quite a bit of Dylan Harper. Looking forward to watching much more.
All right, I'm going to go with my number 4 pick. I'm going to go Con Knipple.
Nice.
Averaging 16 points per game, 53% shooting on threes, on over 7 attempts per game. He's kind of been exactly what we projected him to be, as this great shooter playing alongside a playmaker in LaMelo Ball. Guys like Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, who are going to be higher on the scouting report. But Con Knipple, such a great connector as a passer too. He's constantly making the right plays. A couple turnovers that aren't super pretty that I've seen from the Hornets, but again, like they're playing really high, fast-paced offense, and he's a rookie. He'll cut down on those. I've been really impressed with Con Knipple, and I thought he was one of the most NBA-ready guys coming out of college, just because the three-point shooting was immediately going to translate. He's always in the right spots. He's a great connector, and defensively, he's been even better than I thought he would be. Like, that was the thing. It's like, can you guard? Are you going to be picked on? Are teams constantly going to target you in the pick and roll? And there's been some of that from what I've seen from the Hornets for sure, but he's also in the right spots. There was one possession in a Hornets game the other night where he just got caught ball watching, and this guy went backdoor on the baseline for an easy layup, which wasn't pretty. But like, he's gonna learn. Like, you watch that on film and you learn from that. And he's a guy who picks up things really quickly. I'm not worried about him defensively like everyone else was. I think he's gonna be another guy. We're talking about all these guys who have all-star potential. He's right there with that, and he's off to a great start so far.
Yeah, I think the ceiling is lower for Con than the three guys that we've spoken about before, but you see like the direct role in the way that he impacts basketball. He's a smart basketball player, man, and he's strong physically. Like, he's not going to get bullied when you drop him in the post. There's a couple like sidestep threes that he's knocked down that is pretty advanced stuff when you look at the footwork and the way that he is getting the shots off here. I think he's a great, like, he's in the right spot down there in Charlotte when you have the LaMelo Ball types and the Brandon Millers and guys that sort of are the more featured pieces. He can connect with anyone. That's a dude that I do feel you drop him on any basketball team and he finds a way to impact winning right there. So liked what I've seen from Con Knipple. And I also had a quick anecdote here. Saturday when the Sixers played the Hornets, so my inside baseball here, wrap up my shift in Philadelphia at 8 o'clock, driving home. So I had to listen to Tom McGinnis on the radio, just going around every stereotypical white guy phrase describing Con Knipple, which was hilarious. We talked about what a sneaky athlete he is, that you probably guess he's a little slow of feet, but you can see the basketball IQ in his game, which did crack me up there. But that's the Con story to an extent, man. He's going to impact winning no matter what basketball team he is, no matter who he's sharing the floor with. And I do like that he ended up in Charlotte.
All right, who you got next?
Next, I'm going with Trey Johnson with the 5th overall pick in our Pick Swap Media Pace and Space 2025-2026 redraft here. I like how Trey Johnson has looked so far this year. And to rattle off the raw stats, he ultimately did end up going 6th in the actual draft here. That he's played 26.8 minutes per game, averaging 14.8 points, 3.5 rebounds, 2.0 assists, shooting 39.3% from beyond the three-point arc there, 44.9% from the floor overall. Just one of the most pure shooters in the entire league, man. This dude eats, sleeps, and breathes hoops. I think he fits into this youthful core that Washington's building right here. You won't find a guy with just as repeatable of a release, as willing to shoot as what he brings to the table here. And I think there is something there defensively. And also my level of optimism for this guy being capable of running an offense has increased a little bit in the early start to his NBA career. He's not like a Cam Thomas black hole. There's some basketball feel and like buy-in from this guy for how he plays within a team construct.
Yeah, as we run these Trey Johnson highlights here, he's just a straight bucket. I mean, he's an unbelievable scorer, and he does have a little Cam Thomas to his game, where he's just he can score on anybody at any level. Like, he's a legitimate 3-level scorer. As you see here, he takes it to the rim. He's a pretty good finisher, high off the glass like that one. He's a better finisher than I even thought he would be immediately coming in playing against high-level rim protectors in the NBA. But he's a 3-level scorer. His pull-up mid-range game is phenomenal. He can shoot off the bounce from 3. He's just a bucket. I do worry a little bit that he's not as developed, and he's very early, very young, but he's not as developed as a playmaker that you were talking about. Like you said, you've seen it. I've been a little skeptical of if he can play that role, but I also don't think they necessarily need him to. Eventually, maybe they will, but that's not who he is. He was a pure scorer, straight shooting guard, like a typical shooting guard you used to see in the NBA back in the day as a 3-level scorer. So I don't think they ever would want him to play like a primary one position, but he is a straight bucket, and he's one of the best scorers the rookie class has.
Yeah, and I guess to like tie up my loose ends there, that I entered like the pre-draft process and watching him there, thinking that there is zero chance that this dude could ever be like a point guard or run an offense to any of that. I see a couple flashes of it in a way that I was not braced for and did not expect. And I get like we're 4 games in the season, he's averaging 2 assists per game. But to stick with the Cam Thomas stretch, I'm not sure there was ever like a 4-game stretch where Cam Thomas averaged 2 assists per game over that stretch there. So I'm not saying that get ready for this guy to be the next Chris Paul or anything like that, but I do think in a pinch, like he can run an offense at a rate that I was not ready. The biggest takeaway that I have for doing this exercise right now is we can watch all the shooting drills, all the college film. There's something about when these guys actually get to the NBA and have to play at this pace of play that you have to wake up to NBA speed. And Trey Johnson has not looked like he's blinked at that whatsoever to me.
All right, my turn.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go with Cedric Coward.
Wow, nice.
The Grizzlies, who looks like the steal of the draft right now, averaging 16 points per game, shooting 64% from 3, which obviously is completely unsustainable. But this was a guy that nobody really knew what to expect because he barely played for Washington State last year. I believe it was 6 games, and before that he was playing. He was playing at a much lower level. So it was like, what is this guy's production level going to really be? I think that's why he slipped in the draft a little bit, and the Grizzlies got a steal where they're replacing Desmond Bane in a lot of ways on a much cheaper contract and a younger contract than what Desmond Bane was getting paid, which was ridiculous contract considering they're also paying Jaren Jackson Jr. and John Morant those crazy contracts too. So they got the Desmond Bane replacement they were looking for and they wanted. He's been awesome. He can shoot the ball exceptionally well. He's good at getting into the gaps and getting downhill. He's really athletic, as you see right here on this alley-oop. He can fly. He can defend. I'm a real big Cedric Coward fan, and he's going to have a pretty long career in this league.
Yeah, I was a Cedric Coward skeptic coming into the draft process. And the reason that I was, we've just had literally never seen this guy play high-level basketball. He's a guy that is pretty easy to buy into from a character standpoint, the way that he's wired. Like some pretty cool stories of like his family has Olympic backgrounds that competed, I believe, as track stars in that. And he's a guy that was really underrated throughout the entire recruiting process that he did start at a low level. He was committed to play for Duke this year and ended up electing to stay in the draft because he got some sort of guarantee, which ultimately ended up having to be the Memphis Grizzlies, where he was drafted in the actual draft here at 11th overall, which was far higher than I thought would remotely be the case. But he looks the part of it, man. He fits into modern basketball. He is competitive on both ends of the floor. Defensively, I really do think there's something there. He feels big out there in a way that I think is like uncharacteristic for a player of his skill set. So yeah, I'm becoming a Cedric Coward believer, even though I was not that way in the pre-draft process.
Yeah, he's also just like more NBA ready than I thought it'd be, because usually you want guys to have a lot of college games under their belt if they're going to be an NBA ready guy, and the Grizzlies needed him to be. I mean, they have a lot of depth, but when you're losing Desmond Bane and you're replacing him with really a mix of bunch of guys, but one of them being a rookie, you want him to be NBA ready, and he has great feel for the game. He's constantly making the right reads. I'm shocked of how much I like him because I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't really watch him a lot in college, and there wasn't that much film to break down from him last year when we were doing the draft stuff. So I didn't really have any expectation for him, but he's surpassed most people's in my mind.
Yeah, 100% there. And I'll keep it rolling to the 7th overall pick here. I'm going with my guy, Jeremiah Fears of the New Orleans Pelicans. The shooting numbers are still fairly ugly with Fears. And to get them out of the way, 11.1% from 3 here. He is shooting 52.3% from the field, but 66.7% at the free throw line there. That's going to be the swing skill and the question mark for how high his ceiling really is. But this dude's a bucket as well. He can take guys off the dribble, and the stats beyond just the shooting numbers. He's playing 26 minutes per game, averaging 13.3 points, 2.8 assists, 1.8 rebounds there. I think there's a real chance that the Pelicans are in a state of flux as an organization, but when the dust does settle, this could be a foundational piece of the future of it. We'll see what happens with Zion Williamson. Derek Queen obviously kicking around. There's a lot, but the way that he gets downhill is pretty special, man. There is an athletic pop. There is a control. This dude, I fell in love with him during his time in college here. One of the youngest players, I believe the second youngest in this entire draft here. I think this is a guy that we're still getting in the ground floor of, but I see the vision for long-term, absolutely.
I had him a little lower on my list. I get it. I get the athleticism. He's a good finisher at the rim. He's good off the pick and roll, making reads. He can't shoot. You got to be able to shoot in this league, and he just can't. 11% from 3. Even more concerning, 66% from the foul line, and that was the big concern. out of college. He can't shoot, and if you're only a guy who can finish at the rim and banking on your athleticism, you're going to be easier to defend, easier to game plan around. So he's been off to a good start for sure. He's been impressive for that Pelicans team, a really bad 0-4 Pelicans team, but still the shooting has to develop. And if it doesn't, I'm worried that he'll never be above replacement level player in this league.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I was reading one of the comments from our guy Crash Davis, who disagreed with our take on the saying defense and physicality is at an all-time low in the league. We'll table that conversation and dive more as we into it. I will stand 10 toes down on Jeremiah Fear's island until the end of time. So I got him as my 7th overall pick. I'll let you keep rolling. Who do you got in the 8th slot?
So I got Colin Murray Boyles.
Interesting.
Where was he on your list? Lower?
A little bit lower, yeah. I was in range with him. I was dancing through a couple names right here. There's a specific name we've been avoiding that I may end up having to follow on.
So I didn't know how deep to go. So
yeah.
I had 10 names written down. I have 3 guys that I still think we should talk about that haven't been really a factor as a rookie. But Colin Murray Boyles has been good. And the question for him coming out of college was, he's like a small big, and he's played as a small big most of his career. How does that really fit in the NBA? But he's actually shooting and making more threes than I would expect early in his career. He's a really good play finisher. He's a really good screen setter. So I'm not saying this guy's going to be like an all-star or anything, but I've been impressed with him on the Raptors, a team where it's kind of hard to find your role in the Raptors, where I don't even know what they're doing defensively. They're constantly like trapping and running two at guys, two at the ball handlers and pick and roll. They're picking up really full court, but like it's not working. Whatever they're doing defensively is not working. They have Brandon Ingram and Emmanuel Quickly has been pretty bad, and Scotty Barnes. This team is just weird. But for Colin Murray Boyles to like carve out a little role for him, I've been impressed with on this team. So I like him. I think he's going to be a good utility player in this league for a while.
Yeah, totally agree there. I've been sort of an the reason that I've been skeptical of him is I just struggle to find like what's his NBA role here. And the Raptors are probably the worst case scenario for figuring that out here, that I've sounded off quite a few times, and that I just don't understand the vision for this roster whatsoever. It's a bunch of guys who should be like the 3rd or 4th best team on a contending roster. But nonetheless, for Murray Boyles specifically, I think the shots look better than I expected it to. He looks confident taking it, and that's a huge storyline for the future of him. So I don't hate the take here. I still need to see a little bit more before I'm all the way bought in.
Who's your next guy?
I'm throwing Ace Bailey here. We've let him drop far enough. We'll throw him at the 9 spot here. My take on Ace Bailey, I'm glad that the universe aligned to basically force him away from the Sixers overall and make sure that, VJ Edgecombe is the guy.
Should we remind everyone that you were an Ace Bailey guy and I was saying take VJ?
Yeah, that is correct. I did land on VJ by the end for all the way that he went about it. I think the story with Ace Bailey,
because Ace Bailey's manager, Omar Cooper, pretty much said, I'm not playing for Philly no matter what.
Correct. And Ace Bailey has wisely cut ties with Omar Cooper, who was the problem. This was a good kid receiving bad advice and paid the price, cost him some money for it. And now you are in Utah doing your thing here. But to just give what he's brought to the table to this point, that Ace Bailey, he's played 63 total minutes, averaging 15.8 minutes per game, 4.0 points, 2.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, has shot 25% from the field and 22.2% from beyond the three-point arc. The point that I made about NBA speed, Ace Bailey is a guy who does not look like he is ready for it from day one, that I think he has been a bit caught off guard by that. He's still going to be just fine in the long run. I still think he is going to be a good player when the dust does settle, but I am happy that the Sixers went with VJ Edgecombe, man.
He's playing 15 minutes a game for one of the worst teams in the league, which is pretty surprising. When you draft a guy that high, you want him to play a lot of minutes because you want him to develop. But this Jazz team is trying to win early on in the season. Of course, the losses will pile up, and by the end of the season, they'll start tanking for a better draft pick. But this Jazz team is pretty fun so far. Like Lauri Markkanen has been one of the best players in the league. He's been incredible. Yeah. Walker Kessler's been good. Walker Kessler's shooting threes now. We hadn't seen that part of Walker Kessler's game really his entire career. Keontae George has been really impressive, and he's dominating a lot of the on-ball reps. So there's not even room, as they're trying to win now, for Ace Bailey to play a lot of it. That's why he's only playing 15 minutes a game, because Will Hardy just doesn't trust him. When he has played, though, it's been the same concerns we had with Ace Bailey: the shot selection, the efficiency, shooting 25% from the field and averaging 4 points per game. It's just he's not NBA ready right now, which is the whole point why I wanted the Sixers to draft VJ, because he was the more NBA ready guy, and Ace Bailey was a development project. It's just not the time for the Jazz to develop him right now because they're actually trying to win in the early part of the season. Once that record gets bad, and we'll see what happens with Lauri Markkanen at the deadline, Walker Kessler at the deadline, because a lot of teams will be calling the Jazz about potentially trading for those two guys. So as the season goes on, he's going to be playing a lot more as you try to develop him because, of course, he's a top 5 pick. You want that guy to be a part of your future. But right now, to start the season, there's a reason he's not playing a lot because Will Hardy just can't trust him.
Yeah, and I will say, man, it's such a bummer to me how much of Lauri Markkanen's career is just going to be wasted. That dude is a good basketball player.
Yeah, that's why I want him traded this season.
Yeah, I just want to see him play basketball that matters, and it's not going to be in Utah, not for this year at least. And that's just a guy who I think makes a ton of sense for like a lot of contending teams, and I want to see him have the opportunity to compete on that level. He's good, man. Free Lauri Markkanen. It's a bummer to watch him just wasting away in Utah.
Yeah, I had one more guy on my list. So I'll give him to you now. And that's the first second rounder. We've talked about almost lottery guys so far. This is the first second rounder, and that's Ryan Kalkbrenner.
Yep.
The 34th pick, who when the Celtics had that 28th pick in the draft, I had him going to the Celtics on my mock draft, and I thought this was the perfect guy. Take this big man. You need a big man. You just traded and got rid of all your 3 guys, Luke Kornet, Kristaps Porzingis, Al Horford. This is a young, cheap guy who can help you win now, and that's what he's doing for the Hornets team. He's their starting center, and he's been great. He was like a 3 or 4 time Defensive Player of the Year in the Big East, which is impressive. So he's a good rim protector. He's a really good play finisher. He's not the most athletic guy in the world, but he's a rim runner. He will protect the rim. He will finish around the rim. He will sprint down the floor, play exceptionally hard, rebound the basketball. He's not going to be like some guy you build around. He's probably never going to be an all-star. He's a guy you want on your team as a starting center 10 out of 10 days or 10 out of 10 times. So I like Ryan Kalkbrenner a lot. I liked him coming out of Creighton, and he's been a pleasant surprise for the Hornets.
Yeah, I totally agree with all this. I wouldn't quite throw him at 10, but he was certainly a guy that I threw in the mix for the honorable mention list of guys that were overlooked. And obviously, we got VJ Edgecombe that Dembona has looked excellent, but it does sting a little bit looking back at the draft and seeing 34th overall Ryan Kalkbrenner and 35th overall Janai Broome, who just got sent down to the G League there. 2 guys that both spent an incredible amount of time in college, both of them long-term players there. Broome was a guy who started at Morehead State, transferred over to Auburn, where he had another extremely successful stretch. But I've looked at them so differently as prospects. For Kalkbrenner, I see the clear vision for what he is in the NBA. Like you pointed out, a rim runner. He looks huge out there, the block shots. Broome, I've never seen the vision and still don't. And we've yet to see him even make his true NBA debut to this point. So a little bit of a bummer how that worked out. But total agreement that Kalkbrenner.
Yeah, real quick. I was surprised Kalkbrenner fell to the second round. I was even more surprised how early Janai Broome was selected. And we both called out immediately this is just simply not an NBA player. And you're seeing that early in his career as he's sent down to the G League. But it also is hard to criticize anything Daryl Morey has done draft related because he's been almost as perfect as you can get in terms of his selections. So he's allowed to have one miss.
Yeah, 100% there. And for all the critiques that understandably come his way for the Paul George contract, the Joel Embiid contract, you got to also give him the praise for taking VJ Edgecombe, taking Jared McCain, taking Tyrese Maxey, even though that was when he just got here and has pretty much credited the scouting department and all that. But nonetheless, you got to count his wins as well as his losses there. The Broome stuff, it sucks because this is a guy who, like, I do believe gives it his all, competes, has lost weight, trying to make like the translation to the NBA here. I just don't see it, man. It is unfortunate because there's not like something like if you add this, maybe there's a pathway. I just don't.
Did you see that picture of DJ Burns the other day?
Yeah.
I thought I sent it to you. I was like, is this Sora? Like, the Sora app? Like,
yeah,
the quote was kind of funny. So I was like, and the way he was talking was kind of funny. So I was like, I wasn't really sure if this was fake. And like, I couldn't believe it. I mean,
yeah, it's DJ Burns, man.
I was even in the G League. I'd actually love to watch Hornets G League game just to see how he moves on the court. I mean, that's one of the larger guys I've ever seen on an NBA or G League court.
It's like when the Sixers brought in Kenny Lofton Jr., man, and that's a guy who's thinned out a little bit as well. Like, there is something about these big dudes that you just don't know what to do with. It's probably never gonna play at the NBA.
No, but like this wasn't just like a big dude. I mean, this was like, the jersey didn't do him any favors, but this guy was.
That's always been DJ Burns. Like, that's always been.
Yeah, but he lost a lot of weight before that NC State playoff tournament. Remember that was a huge thing that he lost all this weight. He went on diet because he was motivated to do so. Whatever, that diet is way out the window.
Hey, man, I'm not hating. It's worth tuning in for. So I did see that as well. I want to throw a couple more honorable mentions on here for guys that I think should be getting more praise than have been the case thus far. Start off with Joan Behringer of the Minnesota Timberwolves here, man. He might be their next Rudy Gobert. That he's huge. The activity level is here. He plays with like good energy. I like him a lot. Obviously, still a pretty small sample size for what we've seen him on. He's played just 7 minutes at the NBA level to this point, but in preseason, he matched up with the Sixers that I got a chance to look at him there. I like Behringer a lot. I think that's a guy that I didn't really know a ton about coming into the draft. Anything to add there, or should I keep rolling through my list?
No, I was pretty high on him coming to the draft, and he has been good. You're right, but keep going.
Yeah, Walter Clayton went 18th here, and for everything that I did not say about Ace Bailey, Walter Clayton does check these boxes there and is receiving the opportunity to do so. That he's playing 19.5 minutes per game, averaging 7.5 points, 3.8 rebounds, 3.0 assists. You can see the experience playing in there. You like what you've seen from Clayton?
Yeah, and he's a winner. Like he's a great shot maker. The size and turnovers were always a concern. They still will be. He can't really be a high usage guy, but he's a winner and he's a great shot maker. So yeah.
And from one Utah Jazz member to another, Will Riley coming out of Illinois, who's a local product here from the Philadelphia region overall. Really like what I've seen from him, and a guy whose ceiling's not high as a lot of the guys we've talked about, but he's played 5.7 minutes per game, added 3.3 points, 1.7 rebounds. He just looks the part of like a 3-and-D guy that's going to fit in the NBA for a while for me.
Yeah, a couple guys who haven't been part of this rookie surge, but I'm still very high on. Is Derek Queen, of course, as we know. He's only playing 15 minutes a night. He was injured most of the offseason training camp. He had surgery, so it's tough to just be thrust into that situation. He's had some good moments, had some bad moments, but I'm still high on Derek Queen. And Igor Demin, who also had an injury in training camp and missed most of the preseason. And so that's why he hasn't really been starting. And his minutes load has been a little down to start the year. But I still think he's the guy that the Nets are going to build around eventually. And one thing to monitor with him is his shooting, because that was the biggest thing out of the draft, why he dropped so much, because he can't shoot the ball. He shot 27% from three last year at BYU and 65% from the free throw line. Right now, he's shooting 41% from three. And that's on over 5.5 attempts per game. So he's shooting the ball at high volume and he's making them. So the shooting has clearly improved. We saw it in summer league and it's carried over to the NBA season. He's also 75% from the free throw line. So an improvement there. Just another guy to watch out for who I'm still very high.
All right. My critique of Igor Demin here. If he was to do a cone drill, I don't think he beats the cone 10 times out of 10 going to the rim here. That dude can't beat anyone with a first step, man. I know he's big. I know there's ways around it, but there is zero there as far as
that's part of why I loved him, because the acceleration and deceleration was so good. The pace he plays with is so exceptional. Like, you think Luka can beat him? I mean, he can, but like Luka doesn't. He plays his game with pace and the acceleration, deceleration of how he accelerates to the rim. And that was what I saw with Igor Demin. Like that's the new NBA. Of course, if you're quick and you're fast and you have the burst that Tyrese Maxey has, you can just get by guys. But Igor Demin plays with such great pace. That's part of the reason why I was high on him.
I think if I were to play a one-on-one game with Igor Demin right now, that he does not 21-0 me. That he is not scoring consecutively on me.
What are you talking about? Of course he is.
He can't beat anyone off the dribble, man. He can't.
He can't. I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with that. He's not going to do it with his speed and his burst, but he can beat guys off the dribble with the pace he plays with, and just kind of like his hesitation is pretty good. He's really good when he gets a screen and roll. Like he's. I don't really agree with that at all, to be honest.
Really? All right. Well, I'm going to keep watching, but I don't think I've seen this guy beat a dude off the dribble a single time in the NBA. Just yet.
I mean, most of what I've seen from the Nets in his reps are he's getting a ball screen. He's getting a ball screen. That's where he was really good at BYU was as a playmaker off ball screens, especially as a passer. He's the best passer in the draft. So I haven't like seen a lot of one-on-one opportunities necessarily. You're not going to put him in isolation situations, but I'm not worried about that really.
All right, we'll see what that is. I'll throw a quick couple more shout outs here. Sion James, man, another second round pick.
Good.
He's gonna be like that dude is just an NBA player for the foreseeable future, and he pops. He's got like the NBA body, the athleticism there. They got quietly a lot of young talent over there down in Charlotte. So shout out to that. Like what I've seen from Asa Newell a little bit, and he's getting an incredible opportunity due to all the injuries that are happening in Indiana there. So that's another guy to keep an eye on there. Those are probably the biggest names that pop out of me. There's one more second rounder I wanted to shout out. Who was that there? Oh, Javon Small for the Memphis Grizzlies. Also, not a guy I really had a ton on my radar. Think he's looked really good and he's going to be serviceable there. So to have clocked 89 minutes through your first 4 games as a second-round pick, that tells a little bit about the belief from the organization. So shout out to this rookie class overall. Any final thoughts from you there?
Yeah, no, a lot of rookie talk, and it's deserved so because this rookie class has been to start this season or start their rookie season as good as we've seen in a long time. And there's one of the storylines of the NBA right now of how immediately impactful these rookies have been. So it was good to hit on all those. We'll do rookie check-ins as the year goes on, but probably not for a while. But it was good to hit on it early. Let's keep it moving. A few more things to talk about. Let's start with this. There's 4 undefeated teams in the NBA. The Bulls, Sixers, and Spurs are 4-0. The Thunder are 5-0. There's probably an easy answer here, but which of those teams are you most confident keeping up this winning trajectory?
Yeah, I think the Oklahoma City Thunder are the pretty obvious answer for that. The defending champions and the team that is only getting better. Chet Holmgren looks to have taken a leap to me already this season. Jalen Williams will be returning from injury. They've got talent. They're going to be unbelievable for the next decade there. This team is going to be among the best in the NBA for the foreseeable future. And I do got to throw in while we're on the topic of the Oklahoma City Thunder, did just see this pop across my Twitter feed, and this kind of broke my heart a little bit here. They announced that Nikola Topic is dealing with testicular cancer. So huge prayers. Shout out to him. That's absolutely horrible to hear. And he's had a pretty brutal start to his NBA career. And that's obviously something that can be life-threatening if not dealt with in the proper way. So sending prayers to him and his family. Hope that is cleared up real quick. And this world really does suck sometimes, man. I feel like I've gotten so much bad news in that type of direction in these past couple weeks. So prayers up for Nikola Topic.
Yeah, 100%. That's obviously awful. And he was like a project and a prospect that the Thunder were pretty high on. Didn't find a lot of time in that rotation because of how deep they were, but he's a guy they were high on and people thought could have a real NBA career. And obviously prayers up there. Hope everything takes care of itself and he's back on the NBA floor soon. But to this point about the Thunder is they've kind of struggled to score without Shai Gilgeous on the floor because they don't have a second option right now. And without Jalen Williams, who's still out with that thumb injury. But AJ Mitchell has been incredible.
Yeah.
Averaging 18 points per game. He looks like he can be an impact player for this team and be a secondary ball handler and shot creator for this team already. And a note about the Thunder real quick is they're number 1 in drives per game, but they're not getting to the free throw line a lot. They have in terms of free throw attempts per game, they're 24th in the NBA. When you're number 1 in drives per game, that usually correlates to a lot of free throws. It's not right now for the Thunder, so they're not even getting to the free throw line a lot. And they're shooting the ball incredibly poorly. They're shooting 28% from 3. That's the second worst mark in the NBA. The only one's worse is the Pelicans, who are shooting 27% from 3. So when you look at this Thunder team, and they're really not playing well because they're not getting to the free throw line and they're not shooting the ball well. And part of that's because the shots that they're creating aren't as good, especially in the second unit without Jalen Williams. And they've had guys come in and out with injury this season. And they're still 5-0. So that just speaks to the greatness of the Thunder. It's their defense. It's how they command the possession battle with creating turnovers, still number 1 in the league in that. Turnover rate, I believe they're still number 1 in the league in that, or actually 4th in the league right now in turnover rate. So it's really impressive how they still managed to win, even though their offense hasn't been their typical Thunder offense.
Yeah, and I'll also add, you catch me on the right day, you can have me talk myself into Aaron Wiggins being a potential all-star, man.
I've said that for a while.
Yeah,
this guy was a real part of their championship run last year. Sporadic minutes in the playoffs, but he is a real. I would love to see him on a team where he has to play serious minutes on a consistent basis because he has all the intangibles. Maryland guy, another Terp. He was great in college. I was high on him coming out of the draft. Didn't think he should even fall to the second round. He's been awesome.
Yeah, absolutely there. And I will throw in, I'm a believer in what I'm seeing for our 4-0 Philadelphia 76ers as well. But I do think this is here to stay. I don't think they're going to go 82-0. I think probably not on that one there. But I do think that this is a playoff team, as I've been saying all offseason, that there is something to this resiliency, this identity. I mean, the victory over the Wizards, man, coming back from down 16, heading into the fourth quarter, pushing it to overtime on the second night of a back-to-back in which, for the first time all season, the energy looked zapped for a lot of these key players. They still found a way to gut it out. So I'm a believer in the way that this Sixers team is buying in. I think that this hot start is the best possible case for everybody here, that there is a little bit of internal belief that is growth there, the fan base getting back in, and VJ Edgecombe has changed things in a lot of ways. So this Sixers start, again, they're not going to be 82-0 by any means, but I think there's something real about the way that they have come out of the gates.
Dembona too. He was phenomenal in that game.
5 blocks, no fouls, by the way.
Yeah, the defense has to get better. It's been god awful through 4 games, but their offense has been so good that they managed to overcome that. All right, let's move it to the 0-4 teams here. We got the Pacers, Nets, Pelicans. Who are you most worried about?
I mean, the Nets, I think, is going to end with the worst record out of these 3, and I think that's by design. So maybe not worried about is the wrong way to put it, but I do believe that this is going to be a team that gives them the best possible chance of winning the lottery. And they've obviously took 5 first-round picks this year and allowing those guys to play through their mistakes. I think the Nets is my answer. As far as like worry, probably the Pacers at the top of my list there. There comes a point, man, where you just can't overcome the level of injuries that they're dealing with. And I think this has the feeling of a season trending towards disaster for them. So in the long run, I don't think it is the worst case in the world, but this was a team that I was expecting to at least be in the playoff mix and have a chance if Halliburton can return and these types of things. Not sure I see that how things are playing out, and do think that they could be lottery bound as well.
Yeah, you're right about the Nets. The team that's going to lose a lot of games. That's their plan. They drafted 5 rookies. They have a draft pick next year, so they want to get, and they don't have one in 2027, I believe. So next year's a huge draft for them. They want to give themselves the best possible position to draft one of these guys who could be franchise changers coming out in the 2026 draft. So the Nets are expected to be awful. The Pacers, it's just a disaster event after disastrous event. It's going to be a lost year for them. The Pelicans are the biggest concern. Like, this team just looks awful, and I like the roster, and so I've been wrong about the Pelicans. I really like the roster, but they can't shoot the ball. They're last in the NBA in net rating, last in effective field goal percentage. They can't rebound the ball. DeAndre Jordan they signed him 4 days ago, and then he's starting last night over Messi. It's like, what is going on with this team? The roster construction. Willie Green might be out of the job before the season ends. Again, what I say are third to last in rebounding percentage. They can't rebound. They can't score. It's just, this has been a disastrous start to the season for the Pelicans.
At least they still got 2 first-round picks for next year, right, Sam?
Yeah, unfortunately they don't.
And by the way,
unfortunately they don't.
The 2 teams that they held possession of there, the Indiana Pacers and their own, and the Pelicans there, the teams that are combined, 0-6 or 0-7 this year between those 2 teams.
Pacers one's really going to hurt.
Yeah, that stings a little bit. Bad organization doing bad organizational things. So I think the Pelicans will find a little bit of a stride to scrap to like middle of the pack-ish. But yeah, they're not going to be good. I don't think they're a playoff team, especially not in that Western Conference. And we will forever disagree on like the outlook for Derek Queen. But where we disagree on that specifically is I think regardless of how good you feel about that dude as a prospect, it was poor processing as an organization to make that deal to go up and get him there. And we'll see. Ultimately, the test of time. Maybe Derek Queen ends up a Hall of Famer, and I'm eating my words for it. But they are certainly feeling the effects of that and will for the next 2 years.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it right now. I don't want to talk about the Pelicans or Derek Queen. They stink. It's ugly down in New Orleans, and it will be for a long time. And yeah, Joe Dumars is probably not the guy. And then that starts with that ownership group. All right, let's keep it going to finish the show. Just hit on a couple nuggets from last week. Let's start with Austin Reeves, who has been downright incredible since Luka Doncic went down. 51 points, 41 points, 28 points in the 3 games that he's had to be the star. The Lakers have won 2 of them. The game winner last night, just a beautiful job of splitting that ball screen last night into the off-balance floater. Awful ball screen coverage by the Wolves, but still, to Austin Reeves to read that and go into the floater for the buzzer beater, he's playing out of his mind. He might be playing himself into a max contract guy this summer, where most executives around the league were not anticipating him getting a max. Pretty close to it, somewhat close to it, not the max. He has been that good without Luka. Now, when he's going to play with a guy like Luka, all the confidence he's bringing as an on-ball creator, you can play Luka more off the ball, which we saw when Luka was in Dallas that year. They made the championship with Kyrie, where Luka played more off ball than he had in his career because he had a guy like Kyrie, such a great on-ball creator. Luka can do that now. You can do some things when he comes back, which should be pretty soon. So Austin Reeves has just been incredible. I mean, just 14 points per pick and roll, or as the pick and roll ball handler, he's averaging 14 points per game. That leads the NBA. He's scoring 1.2 points per possession as the pick and roll ball handler. That's top 5 in the NBA. He's just been so efficient coming off ball screens. I can't really say enough good things about him. I've been a fan of his for a while, but what he's doing right now is just an incredible tear.
Yeah, it is crazy. And I was reflecting with shout out my former roommate, Taylor Kaufman from college here. is we both, during the whole COVID era, both got connected to the contact tracing thing and had to quarantine, though we were stuck in a hotel right ahead of March Madness. We were watching all the conference tournaments. And I have a vivid memory of watching him at Oklahoma debating, could this guy stick in the NBA? Is this dude legit? And us debating. I never thought in a million years he could be this man. And it is incredible, the growth. And the question that I want to throw back your direction, Sam Oshtry, is I know you left LeBron James off your top 20 list as we start the season. Is Austin Reeves the second best player on this Lakers team?
100%.
Wow.
Not even a question. That's why I wanted them to get rid of LeBron James before the season. Because you found the guy. And I thought this last year. He didn't have a good playoff series against the Wolves, but I thought you found the guy last year in Austin Reeves who couldn't be the co-star to Luka Doncic. So it's like, all right, let's shed this $50 million that LeBron James on the payroll for and build around Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, who's a really bad defensive backcourt, but an unbelievable offensive backcourt. And so I'm super high on Austin Reeves. I definitely think he's better than LeBron James. He's more valuable to this team than LeBron James right now. That doesn't mean you don't not need LeBron James. He's going to be really valuable when he comes back. He's going to play a lot off ball, and he's become a much better catch and shoot shooter, playing off the catch over the last few seasons. So he's going to have a huge role in this team. And if you really want to contend, you're going to need LeBron James healthy, buying into defense, and as your third option in a way. But right now, Austin Reeves is the second best player on this team.
Shout out to Hillbilly Kobe.
He wasn't even drafted, so nobody believed in him. He's an undrafted free agent the Lakers picked up. Nobody believes in this guy.
Yeah. No, you're right about that. But shout out to Reeves, man. I did not think what he's doing is possible. So, yeah, we'll keep it rolling with that. Any other thoughts for you?
Yeah. Are the Blazers real? They're 3-2 right now, but they've won 3 of the last 4. They're doing it on the defensive end. What do you think about the Blazers?
I wouldn't go as far as real, but they are worth watching. They are a team that's bought in. And in a weird way, I almost think all this like off-court stuff sort of bands them together in a way that like the world's against them. We're just buying in and competing. And it's interesting when you look at a lot of these like young cores, we automatically think of like the scoring and who are going to be your ball handlers, who are going to run offense. They've just really leaned into this direction of we're going to be one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. That's how they closed the season last year and have 100% built off it. Drew Holiday still look like he's got it, man. That I've been really impressed with the level that he's shown. Guys like Shaedon Sharpe, Scoot Henderson will be coming back, and we'll see if he can get himself back on the right track. Timani Kamara, an unbelievable defender. Donovan Clingan, a guy that I still believe in the long run here. So there is talent on that roster. If it wasn't for how deep the Western Conference is, I think I could start to talk myself into this team being like flirting with a low-end playoff spot. I think just based on how many good teams are that they end out on the outside looking in, but certainly have been impressed with how they looked on the floor.
This defense is mauling opponents right now.
Yeah.
They're pressing on nearly a quarter of their possessions, and they lead the NBA in turnovers forced, and they're forcing turnovers on 21% of their defensive possessions because of how much they're pressing and getting into opposing ball handlers. It has been so impressive to watch this team defend. Everyone's bought in, and we knew they were going to be a good defensive team. I don't think we realized they were going to be this good defensively. And then offensively, they're 11th in the league right now. I don't think that's going to last. I think they're going to be more towards the bottom of the league, but they're 5th in offensive rebounding rate. So what the Blazers are doing is they're just crashing the glass, getting offensive rebounds, getting extra possessions. And that's a lot of times their best look because they don't have a lot of great offensive players. Like I like Denny Advida a lot. Shaedon Sharpe, Scoot Henderson hasn't even played yet. So they have good players. For sure. And Drew Holiday's had a little bit of a resurgence too. So, but this offense isn't going to be good enough to last. But if you can just crash off the glass and that's your formula, we're going to pick up full court because we have a lot of depth. We're going to defend, force a lot of turnovers, get in transition, score that way. And then we're going to score by crashing the offensive glass. This team is going to be feisty and pretty good where they could sneak into the playoff picture.
Yeah. I also think, by the way, Tiago Splitter might end up being like a legit coach, man.
Yeah. I mean, he was brought in by Chauncey Billups to reinvent the offense. Like he was their offensive coordinator in a way. So everyone loves him apparently. I definitely think he could get that interim tag taken away from him at some point.
Yeah, like obviously we're still very early in the tenure here and pretty much a different path to being crowned the interim head coach than you would ever expect to be the case. But I like the way that he speaks about this team. I'm a believer in sort of the vision that he's kind of selling there. And I think it speaks volumes the way this team has showed up amid everything else. So shout out to Tiago Splitter. That's a storyline that I'll have my eyes on there.
You got anything else? The only thing on the rundown I had was AD's injury. Left with, the game with lower leg soreness yesterday. Don't exactly know his status. He came into camp the biggest we've seen him, like a little overweight, you could even say. which is ironic considering that they traded for him and got rid of the other guy because of the other guy's weight concerns and conditioning concerns. Anthony Davis just always dealt with injuries. That's part of the equation when you're dealing with him, which is part of what made that trade so awful. We'll see how that progresses. The Mavs are awful without Anthony Davis, and they're really bad with Anthony Davis. Doesn't really matter because they don't have any shot creation on the perimeter.
Yeah, what concerns me about it is he entered last night's game with what was labeled bilateral Achilles tendinopathy injury, or whatever the correct pronunciation of that is. I have no idea why the dude was playing if that is the case, man. And for me, what it looked is like he took a bad step and then went down in pain pretty much, pulled himself out right away. I do think this is probably a fairly long-term shutdown for Anthony Davis. We have no sort of knowledge on exactly what that is. He wasn't originally listed as questionable and then upgraded to out pretty shortly after the fact. I don't understand why he was out there if that's what he was dealing with, and it would be a pretty nightmare situation if he's dealing with long-term Achilles issues.
Yeah, for sure. That's not something you want to mess around with. So you'd rather be safe than sorry for sure. But this Mavs team and season is heading towards disaster, and the fire Nico sentiments are going to grow even louder. And the only reason the owner hasn't done it is because it's a bad look on him, because he actually signed off on the Luka Doncic trade. But you're the owner of the team. No one can tell you what to do. You can make this right by firing Nico and moving in a different direction while you have this generational rookie. So that's what they should do, and I think they will by the end of the season, and we'll see when exactly that happens.
That Quentin Grimes, Caleb Martin trade deserves quite a bit of heat as well. That will not come close to being compared to as the worst deal that was made last year, but another just really poor deal.
They could use some Quentin Grimes on-ball creation right now. The Mavs.
Big time. Like he would be an impactful player right there.
And credit to Daryl Morey again, where he just got rid of that Caleb Martin deal, got off it quickly because that was a bad deal when it happened, and it became even worse as the season played out. So he moved off that quickly.
I still like Caleb Martin, and I was pretty against that deal when I thought that they would had a chance at the postseason last year. But I mean, Quentin Grimes is a dude, man. He has competed his tail off to start this season. So that's about, I think, all we got for today. Any final words for you, Sam?
No, that's it. That's all we got. We're here every Tuesday, Thursday. Leave us voicemail 888-295-1602. paceandspaceshow@gmail.com. Get involved with the conversation. Keep commenting. We appreciate everyone tuning in. We're here every Tuesday. We'll be back talking to you Tuesday. Enjoy your weekend of NBA hoops.
Yeah, appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you're subscribing wherever you are listening at. If that is on PickSwap Media on YouTube, on either of the Twitter accounts, streaming on anywhere else that might be listening there. Make sure you're listening in for the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify as well. Thank you guys for hanging with us today. Me and Sam will be back. Talk with you next time. Peace.